is Jeff Park from the Alberta Parents Union. Jeff, I'm familiar with your work, but I think some Rebel News viewers may not be. Tell us a little bit about the Alberta Parents Union and how it came together.
Absolutely. So we're a group of grassroots Alberta parents from all over the province. Came together uh, during the COVID restrictions over frustrations with not being heard at the school level, the school board level, or even sometimes the provincial level, uh, and a lot of frustration from parents that it seemed like the Alberta Teachers Association was strongly advocating for teachers, uh, or at least the ones that were active with the Alberta Teachers Association, making their voice heard loud and clear on education policy issues. And parents were very frustrated about where's the parallel organization to make parents' voices heard. Unfortunately, it wasn't coming from the Alberta School Councils Association, which is sort of the way voices were supposed to filter up from the local school councils to the government. They were simply echoing the ATA talking points, regardless of what parents actually thought. So that was we were born out of those sorts of frustrations, but we did a launch tour, 28 stops all over the province, and heard plenty of other issues from parents that they wanted us to advocate on, uh, and uh, and we've been doing that ever since 2022.
I think the work that you guys do is so important because the ATA, the Alberta Teachers Association, is this powerful behemoth that can take on the whole of government. And the school boards, normally they're supposed to be reflective of the people who elect them and the communities in which they come from, but they are so often just uh, parroting the ATA talking points. And at no place in the system do parents and parents as the first best educators of their children really have a voice that advocates directly for them. So I'm really happy with the work that you guys are doing. Now I'm a parent with a child in the Alberta school system. I had three, one still in high school, and just about every day I get an update from the school about a looming labor disruption. And never in these emails do they ever explain what the labor disruption is all about. If you watch the news, it's all about class sizes and what's in the best interest of the kids. But if that were the case, they probably would have had a strike vote over the summer when the kids wouldn't have been affected. But that just is never the case, is it? So why don't you tell us what the threatened labor disruption is all about?
Absolutely. So you're right that that has been the rhetoric. We can step back to June. There was actually a mediated settlement on the table from a mediator that both the Alberta Teachers Association and the government agreed on, and her suggestion was a 12.5% pay rise, so 3% a year over 4 years. One of those retroactive, and when you do the compounding interest there, that comes out to about 12.5%. So a 12.5% pay rise, and her solution that she recommended for class sizes was that they basically put together working groups, basically a committee at the school board level, since after all, it is the school board level where those frontline decisions about class sizes, how many teachers, how many education assistants, and those sorts of things are made. And so that was her recommendation. The government accepted that recommendation. The Alberta Teachers Association executive narrowly accepted that recommendation, 7-6. But when they took it back to their members, they rejected it. And again, the rhetoric coming from the members, the rhetoric coming from the ATA executive was that they would never consider striking over wages. They would only ever consider striking over classroom conditions. And uh, and so the executive went to their membership and asked, okay, what can we offer? as a counteroffer to try to settle this labor dispute, and uh, and their members gave them a salary increase that they thought was appropriate. We've never been told how much that was, but then on the classroom conditions side, what they asked for was 1,000 teachers a year over 3 years. So 3,000 teachers. That commitment alone would cost the government $750 million, plus the cost of the pay rises. Plus, they were also throwing in some classroom complexity grants and that kind of thing. And so multi-billion-dollar commitment overall. And so the government actually called their bluff, you could say, and accepted their demand on classroom conditions. They said they give the 3,000 teachers over 3 years, but since we all agree this isn't over more of a pay rise than 12.5%, that's where we have to stop. This is really all the room we have in the budget, and the government has continued to insist that that any further negotiation, we're really working from this is the budget. We can't spend more than this. And so they suggested the only way to afford more of a pay rise would be to have fewer teachers. And the government alleges that at the bargaining table, the Alberta Teachers Association actually said, yes, we should do that. Fewer teachers, more of a pay rise. Now, when Jason Schilling, the president of the ATA, was asked about that, every time he's been asked about it, he has said that was not a formal offer placed on the table, which tells me they did say that. They just didn't present it as a formal offer, right? He was very careful in how he denied that. So we've really had a reversal, in my opinion, not only of the rhetoric, which would be bad enough because you're already, you've told the public you're after one thing and you're clearly after another. But to me, I think that's an abandonment of the mandate they had from their own membership, that classroom conditions were what they were saying, they were saying, a working group, essentially a committee, is not enough to deal with, we already know what the problems are, we just need to hire new teachers, right? And so for them to have that demand granted by the government and still walk away from the table, I think is an abandonment of their members, not to mention Alberta parents and students.
It's just atrocious when you think of it, that they would use kids as their excuse to do these things. And then when they're told there's only so much, so you can take from one and give to the other, they say, yes, take from the kids and give it to us. And if you don't, we're going to strike and hurt the kids.
Well, and they insist that a strike wouldn't hurt the kids. Jason Schilling said that that teachers are professionals. They know how to deliver the information, make sure kids don't fall behind in the event of a labor disruption. But again, all of us know that isn't true because we lived through the COVID restrictions and kids did fall behind.
Right.
And especially the most vulnerable kids fell behind.
Yes.
The COVID shutdowns erased 20 years of progress, closing the gap between the highest achieving and the lowest achieving students. 20 years of progress down the drain in 2 years. So the bottom fell out, especially for the kids who need the most support. So we already know that learning disruptions are I agree. Teachers are professionals. They're not miracle workers. You can't teach in the conditions of a learning disruption. You can't just catch the kids up as if there's some magic formula to do that. If there was, then they shouldn't have complained when the new curriculum rolled out and they said, well, there's too much to cover in this new curriculum. Wait a second, I thought you were professionals. I thought we could just magically speed this up somehow.
Catch them up.
Like it's contradictory at multiple levels in their messaging. But absolutely, we know for a fact that kids will be harmed if there's a labor disruption. So it's a real um, it's a real abandonment of Albertans for them to have switched their position this way.